you compare the ratio, the mining ratio. For every 1 ounce of gold, we're mining 7 ounces of silver. So that's a 7-to-1 ratio. Yeah, you look at the price ratio, we're trading at 92-to-1 right now. You hear phrases like Keith and now others have mentioned that the triple-digit silver. Well, that's where that logic comes from. All you got to do is just collapse the ratio to make it a bit more. It doesn't have to be the mining ratio, but just get it close to the mining ratio. Well, then right away, silver should be jumping to the 3 digits easily.
Today's guest is a supporting sponsor of Liberty in Finance. Welcome back to Liberty in Finance. We're delighted to have a first-time guest from a company that you already know about. First Majestic Silver's Vice President of Corporate Development and Investor Relations, Mani Alkhafaji, joins us here on Liberty in Finance. Mani, thank you for coming on Liberty in Finance for this first time.
Thank you, Dunnigan. Appreciate you having me.
It's exciting times because next week we're going to be at the 2025 Rule Symposium on Natural Resource Investing in Boca Raton, Florida. We're told we're going to have some time with Keith Neumeyer, whom we've interviewed here before. In fact, we did a combined interview with Rick a couple of years ago, and that title of that one was a major metals shortage coming. I think it was massive metals shortage coming, and in which Keith talked about the apparent outlook for supply versus demand. And we've continued to see, with your help, maybe you can help us put some details behind it, but we've continued to see the drawdown, according to the Silver Institute and so on, of above ground supplies of metal. First Majestic has been one of the hard ones doing heavy lifting, trying to find more, discover more, and develop what we can about what's already been discovered. I know you've got some news to share with us about both of those topics. And it's also an exciting time in the industry with mergers and acquisitions heating up as the silver price rises. So we've got a lot to talk about. First of all, this concept of a massive silver shortage coming, or metal shortage, not just silver, but is this still something that is seen to be likely given the demand versus supply for this metal?
Yeah, well, thanks for that, Dunnigan. From a macro perspective, it's been a consistent trend. Supply is outpacing demand. Demand is outpacing supply. This is the 5th year of structural deficit in silver. Based on the Silver Institute's recent numbers, demand is inching up north of 1.2, maybe 1.3 billion ounces. Yet supply from the miners is pretty flat. The miners collectively peaked production back in 2016, where they produced just around 900 million ounces. And right now we're estimating to be producing around 800 to 830 million ounces. That's a big gap that is in place, has been in place for a number of years, and is continuing. Yes, there is recycling. That counts about maybe 150 million ounces, but there is an overall deficit. And there's really no new supply hitting the market. We know the market quite well. We scout the planet for new silver assets, for new silver deposits, but there's just simply nothing material that's entering the market anytime soon. I think the official deficit expected for 2025 is about 150 million silver equivalent silver ounces. First Majestic produces about 31 million silver equivalent ounces and 15 million pure silver ounces. So to put that in perspective, you need 10 brand new First Majestics entering the company right now just to bridge this deficit. And that's just simply not going to happen, for a number of reasons. It takes, we saw an article or a presentation not so long ago. It takes on average 18 years to bring a silver mine in production since a discovery. And that's quite a bit of time to really be waiting and getting something material in the market.
Yeah, it's amazing how that plays out, because Rick Rule has educated us, my audience and me, over time about how since like 2011, when there was a peak in silver price, and then there was a long-term handle to the cup and handle formation that's been there since 1980, that a lot of companies had to stop doing a lot of the research and exploration and development that would be necessary to be bringing on these multiple mines that aren't coming online as you just described. So it's a serious reality in terms of the timeline, and some of them are trying to solve this by taking over brownfield mines that can be perhaps restarted faster than a new discovery. Well, that remains to be seen. You've got a new mine at First Majestic, the Gatos. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, well, we announced the deal in the fall of last year, and we just closed the acquisition in January this year. So it's pretty exciting. It's our largest transaction in the company's history. Super competitive process, as you can imagine. We talked about how rare it is to find a good silver asset, and Gatos really ticks the boxes on all these fronts. The process kicked off early 2024, and it took us pretty much a year to close it. Every name that you can think of was involved, so we're quite happy to get it across the finish line. And it is the real deal. We like chunky assets when we go after them. We like them to be de-risked. We like to have the exploration potential. And this is what Gatos is. Big land package, 103,000 hectares, really, untapped, barely any exploration done. The mine currently has 10-year life of mine, brand new mill, effectively, initial management spent over $300 million, super modern, and we're really excited to have Gatos in the portfolio. It complements the rest of the portfolio that we have. We're in Mexico, so this fits perfectly in our backyard.
And you also have a new discovery at Santa Elena. Can you tell us about that?
Sure. Yeah. So with Santa Elena, it's been in the portfolio since 2015, and it really has been the gift that keeps on giving. When we bought the mine, it had about 7-year life of mine 10 years ago. And right now it has about an 8-year life of mine 10 years later. Production went up from 2.5 million ounces when we bought it to last year we broke through 10 million ounces. So quadruple production, increasing life of mine 10 years later. And we just made 2 new discoveries within 12 months. We made a discovery in July of last year called Navidad. And, our geologists have been quite excited about. By the end of the year, we put an initial maiden resource of 30 million ounces. We think that's going to grow based on the results and the drilling that we're doing right now. And in addition to Navidad, we've made another discovery 2 months ago now called Santa Elena, very close to the plant. It's less than a kilometer away, so we'll be able to utilize existing infrastructure and get it up in production sooner, as soon as we can. And these are just examples of what we like about districts. You're able to explore as long as you have the land package. You have the resources, you're able to expand the life of mine. Our goal really with the exploration programs is always to replace depletion. We produce 31 million ounces. That's a lot of ounces that we need to replace, but we're blessed with the land package that we have around all the assets that we feel confident in being able to do that.
And as long as we're talking about the land where you're working, you mentioned being based in Mexico. A lot of these projects that you're talking about, there's been some change in the leadership in Mexico. There's been some concern about safety of and productivity of work crews in a changing environment. Can you talk to us about the jurisdiction itself and what you see? There's even been, one more thing. There's even been concern about whether Mexico will nationalize assets if they get financially strained, et cetera. So talk to us about the jurisdiction that you're operating in and how it's playing out and what your outlook is there.
Sure. Well, this is our 22nd year of being in Mexico. So we've got to know Mexico quite well. It is the number 1 silver producer, and we want to be, the number 1 silver producer. So it makes perfect sense for us to be in Mexico and expand in Mexico. Things obviously, changed quite a bit. There's a new government in place that took office in September of last year. And it's been quite interesting. We've been hearing positive feedback leading up to the election. Soon after the election was won, we kept on hearing the positive stuff. As under the previous regime under AMLO, which basically took place 6 months or 6 years prior to that, it was very anti-mining, foreign investments, and that was very clear. We've seen it, and other foreign investments, not just mining industries, were feeling that. Under Scheibom, things are a little bit different. There's a backlog of permits that have just been pending, haven't been released. First Majestic, we're operating, so we're not, a junior miner that's waiting on an operating permit, but nevertheless, we still have a couple of small permits here and there to ensure operations. Whether it's change of land or change in tailing facilities. So we've been pending a couple of those, and just in the last 4 weeks, we received 2 of them. So we feel pretty good from the new governments. They've there's new actions that's supporting the claims that they've put in, but I think there's still more people are still anxious to kind of just see what the next few months, what the next couple of quarters will look like. But we feel pretty confident in Mexico. And like I said, being there for this long, we've developed teams, we've developed relationships that definitely gives us an edge and an advantage of operating there.
This economic backdrop in the industry is an exciting time as well. We've been waiting for quite some time to really get confirmation that we're in a full-blown bull market in both gold and silver. We have confirmation on that from silver. We often interview an analyst, Michael Oliver from Momentum Structural Analysis, and he talks about confirmation signals that happen on certain high volume and movements at the same time. Silver has just recently confirmed that it looks like it's set up to continue a run northward, and that's heating up a lot of interest in what was always languishing for the past several years. The miners were unloved by the stock market. They were high tech flyers, darlings of the market, and miners were just not getting the love and getting the investment attention. But now there's merger and acquisitions that are heating up. Can you give us an understanding of the environment that you're in and how that affects a company like First Majestic?
Yeah, well, we just in Q1, 57% of our revenue came from silver. So we're obviously quite leveraged to silver. A dollar move in silver basically has, close to $30 million impact on the bottom line. So we pay close attention to it. And it's obviously nice to see the positive movement in silver. It's definitely lagged gold. Gold has been the granddaddy, as everyone knows, and it's been the most talked about commodity. Wall Street is talking about it now, which is great. But silver has kind of been lagging, and historically we've known that. Silver does take its time to catch up to gold, but once it does, it typically outperforms. I think year to date, silver has reached, if not exceeded, gold's performance. And we still think, still got room to go. This is the start of the bull cycle. We kind of touched on it in the macro discussion earlier on the silver deficit. You compare the ratio, the mining ratio. For every 1 ounce of gold, we're mining 7 ounces of silver. So that's a 7-to-1 ratio. Yeah, you look at the price ratio, we're trading at 92-to-1 right now. And that's that's a big gap. You hear phrases like Keith and now others have mentioned that the triple digit silver. Well, that's where that logic comes from. All you got to do is just collapse the ratio to make it a bit more. It doesn't have to be the mining ratio, but just get it close to the mining ratio. Well, then right away, silver should be jumping to the 3 digits easily. So we're quite excited, obviously, where this is trending, and everything we're seeing, everything we're hearing, it's going in the right direction.
We're excited. The last time we were able to talk with First Majestic Silver was at last year's Rule Conference in 2024. Now, next week, we're going to be there in person at the 2025 Rule Conference in Boca Raton, Florida, and looking forward to actually having Keith in our booth and recording with us there. And we're delighted to be able to bring the unfolding story that's moving forward quite well for First Majestic to our audience. Any thoughts from you on things that we should be looking forward to hearing about at the Rule Conference from First Majestic?
No, I think, First Majestic, we got really a new exciting story. We're focused on silver, new acquisition, new discoveries. With what's going on in the market right now, we touched on the M&A frenzy. We're very happy to have got Gatos in the portfolio. There's a lot of catalysts, but I think ultimately it's going to come down to the company's performance over the next couple of quarters. Q2 will be coming out probably by the time you meet with Keith, and then it'll be exciting to see what the remaining of 2025 will look like. And it's coming down to operations, meeting our commitments, building and strengthening our balance sheets. And our balance sheet right now has never been stronger. And we're quite excited to continue building and, adding to the treasury and, really position the company for a strong end to the year.
Folks, if you want to find out more about First Majestic Silver, look in the description of this video. You'll see how to reach the corporate website, and there's lots of resources available there on everything that we talked about, because some of these press releases are fairly recent. And it's been a real treat, Mani. It was great talking to you for the first time. I hope we can see. I don't know. Are you going to be at the conference?
Yeah, sure. There'll be a few of us down there at the booth. We'll be selling some silver as well. So if anyone's interested, come on by, and happy to chat and give you some more updates.
Yeah, that's been a remarkable standout of First Majestic among other miners. It's very few that actually have that vertical market straight to the retail investor, and that's been a strength and an innovation, frankly, that First Majestic has brought to this. And we've had so many conversations with experts about some of the things that go on in the COMEX and in the metals exchange, that being able to go directly from the mine through product development and production and right to the retail investor is remarkable, and not just investment in the company, but investment directly in the metal itself. We're delighted to be a partner with First Majestic and love to get the news out. We'll do that on a more frequent basis. It's been too long. We're going to have you back on and have Keith on next week. So looking forward to that.
Wonderful. Thanks, Donegan.